Welcome to the 2021 Client Appreciation Challenge, where together we will inspire, encourage, and equip each other to show gratitude to our most important assets and allies, our clients. Each day of the challenge, you will discover powerful ways to say thank you, as we are led by some of the world's most creative and influential thought leaders. Now let's join our hosts, Larry Levine and Daryl Amy, as we challenge each other to show appreciation.
All right. Good morning and welcome back. Day 3 of the 2021 Client Appreciation Challenge. Daryl Amy here today with Larry Levine. What's going on, Larry?
I love the hat.
Thank you.
I love the hat, Daryl. Nice touch.
Hey, a tip of the hat to our VIPs, because that's in the swag bag. We'll tell you about that in a little while. But the reality is, I need a haircut. So there's some real talk this morning sporting the Selling from the Heart hat. Hey, welcome back to the Selling from the Heart Challenge. It's good to see everyone here. Our winner yesterday, George Henderson, is back. And,
hey, by the way, Daryl, George Henderson's stories in the group.
Oh my goodness.
They keep getting better and better and better.
You got to join the LinkedIn group just to see what George Henderson has to say, because he is an international man of mystery and of gratitude, all of that. I'm going to put the link to the LinkedIn group right here in the chat. Looks like Brian is back with us today. Good morning, Jerry. It's so good to see everyone here. This is going to be a great day today. We've got a fantastic guest that you're absolutely going to love. You're going to enjoy meeting Joy McAdams, and the things that she has to share are spectacular. So, Larry, what a great time. We're here celebrating a week of appreciation as we move into Friday, which is National Customer Appreciation Day. Just what a fantastic week.
It's been awesome. You know, Monday with Tom Hopkins, yesterday with Lee Sauls, and Lee Sauls really brought a really unique twist on customer appreciation. It was, you know, what are we doing to differentiate ourselves and make sure that when we say thank you and we show appreciation, that it's meaningful to the other person. That was a big key from yesterday, Daryl.
Yeah, I thought so as well. And you know, it's interesting because there is there's an emotional side to gratitude. There's no doubt about it. And we need, in sales, in business development, we need emotion. We need positive emotion. But there's also a practical side to it as well. And it does differentiate us. In fact, you know, when you think about how you differentiate yourself as a sales rep in a sea of sameness, Lee said yesterday, your biggest competitor isn't the other people in your industry. Your biggest competitor is every other salesperson calling on your prospect, which is hundreds. So how are we going to stand out? Gratitude is the way to stand out. And every day we've been issuing a challenge. And the challenge yesterday was to think of one of the most memorable ways you've said thank you. And it's great to see the videos coming in. We picked Dave Tegmeyer's video.
Okay, so I want to say, Daryl, sorry to butt in, but I got to set this up because y'all have to know the backstory with Dave Tegmeyer. I'm not going to get into it all because we don't have enough time, but to see this guy in front of video now, you would have never known it, because 6 months ago, this guy was gun shy to even shoot a video.
So we've got, and I think the other thing that was great about Dave, and if you want to see his video, go into the LinkedIn group and check it out. We've got we haven't been able to get that video into the meeting today, but I love Dave because Dave, two things I like about Dave. Dave was, he said, I've never used video before. And he said, I'm going to figure out how to do it. He downloaded BombBomb. He got on there. He started shooting videos, and he uses gratitude, not just with his clients. He also uses it with his employees. He's a sales leader. And the other thing about Dave that I think tipped the balance is Dave sent us Starbucks gift cards. Now, I'm not saying everybody needs to do that, although you're welcome to. But I just think it makes the point that, you know, what tips the scale? Gratitude tips the scale. And so, Dave, you tipped the scale today. You're going to be entered in on Friday. We're going to have a vote for the best gratitude story this week. And Dave, you're entered into that. So thank you for that. And if you want to try out BombBomb like Dave did, by the way, just go to bombbomb.com/heart. You can use it for free for 14 days to get geared up for Client Appreciation Day. And huge shout out to our friends at BombBomb for sponsoring this. Speaking of friends, I want to give a shout out to a friend that has probably taught me more about gratitude, maybe than anyone I've ever met. I want to welcome to the show a special guest today, our good friend, Scott McGregor. Scott, what's going on?
What is up, guys?
Is in the house.
I'm excited to be here.
Scott,
how are you guys?
Oh, fantastic. We're so glad you're here. And I don't know anyone that embodies appreciation more than you. You actually have published 3 books full of stories of people saying thank you to others who have influenced their lives. Tell us about the Standing O Project.
Yeah, so the Standing O Project was a way to give back. So I wanted to figure out a unique way to give back to nonprofits that I believed in. So I said, why don't I write a book? Or more importantly, why don't I have friends of mine, which thank you both for writing unbelievable chapters. So we had like literally legends from corporate America, the military, professional sports, write chapters of gratitude for a life lesson that they learned. And then we give all the proceeds to charity. So 4th book coming out this November.
There's so beautiful.
You know, what I love about Scott, and there's a ton that I love about Scott, because Scott's near and dear to myself and my wife, Robin, is he literally shows appreciation. He lives and breathes thank you and gratitude and appreciation every single day. And it shows. Obviously, I love his shirt. And explain the whole mantra around people over everything.
I think people are the drivers of business. People are what business is all about. And when you prioritize people over everything, I think your company, the sky's the limit. And when you don't, and when you think technology or you think other things are more important, you're going to be at a competitive disadvantage, in my opinion.
It's so true. Scott, I'm curious today, what is one of your favorite gratitude stories? Either something that you've done or a way someone said thank you to you?
There's been so many. I think just for me, it's the personal stuff. It's the things that come that are random. I think the interesting thing about client appreciation is that most of the time, it's not really client appreciation, it's client manipulation. So you feel like you're being manipulated, not appreciated. And I think, why do I think that? Because if something needs to be renewed, a contract's going to be renewed, okay, that's when we send something out. Or it's the holiday, so you're sending out the obligatory holiday card. The things that mean the most to me are the random cards that I get from Larry that they're not tied to anything other than, hey, man, I just wanted to say I appreciate you. It's those things that mean the most to me. So, I think there's so much. I think people need to lose the logo. Like when you're sending somebody something and you want them to be your walking billboard, that's not the greatest way to show appreciation. So I've just had a lot of people write me very nice notes throughout the years, and those mean more to me than probably anything else.
Hey, Daryl, you know what I like about what Scott said, because I've seen Scott do this so well, is those random acts of thank you and appreciation. He must gather them over a couple of weeks. And then what I love that Scott does is then he goes out onto the social platforms. I'll just say LinkedIn for this one. And he will actually shoot a video and he will call everybody out and say, thank you, right? Hey, Daryl sent me this, right? Larry sent me this. Joe sent me this, and I just wanted to say thank you. And sometimes Scott's even gone to the point where he actually reads them. So Scott, you're amazing.
Thank you. Thank you. It's no, I'm very, very grateful for the people that, support me.
Well, we're the big fans, and everyone that's listening in, go grab a copy of Standing O. You will be inspired. It's amazing. And Scott, thank you for everything that you are. You've been a true friend and a huge inspiration to us, especially at Selling from the Heart.
Thanks, guys. I love the topic. Love you guys. And really
I love you too, McGregor. But really quick, sorry, I'm butting in on this one, Daryl. Can you share with people, because I love the shirt, and I've seen a comment in the chat about I love the shirt. Where, if people wanted the shirt, can we drop the link later inside the group?
Yeah. We'll send
is.
a link, and all the proceeds go to charity. So 100% of the proceeds go to charity. We don't have a massive inventory right now, but we do have a pretty decent inventory, different colors and sizes. So absolutely. Yeah. Happy to do that.
People over everything. Scott McGregor, thanks for joining us today.
Thanks, guys.
Oh man, what a awesome Scott McGregor. You gotta connect with him and follow. You probably already are. He's the best networked person I've ever met in my life, and I mean that sincerely. Hey, by the way, speaking of building your network, if you want to join us for the VIP party, it's gonna be a gathering on Thursday evening. That'll be tomorrow at 5:00 Eastern time. There'll be a private Zoom gathering with fellow participants and some of our presenters as well. And in the VIP package, you know, it's not a people over everything shirt, but it is a Selling from the Heart ball cap. So, and fortunately, I was able to make sure that it was not produced in LA Dodgers red. So it's good. It matches Selling from the Heart. Larry,
come on, man.
Hey, I want to give a shout out today to our friends as we get ready to introduce our guest, Joy McAdams. I want to give a shout out to our friends at From the Heart Cards. From the Heart Cards is our Send Out Cards affiliate. From the Heart Cards allows us to say thank you in an incredible way. And Larry, I've got so many cards from you. Look at this one.
Here's one from and all that. It's you know what? And I know there's a shout out to Don Morris. Don Morris is affiliate as well. When you get a card like this, by the way, I have never thrown away a single one of these cards.
It's amazing.
And I get them multiple times a week, and I never throw them away.
Yeah. And this, you know what I love about this? I mean, handwritten card is fantastic. The next best thing to, or maybe even better to a handwritten card is actually just dragging and dropping photographs. So this was somebody from our last challenge. I believe this was from Rich. Larry, look at that smile right there. He took our last challenge, screenshotted it, and sent me a thank you card for the last challenge. And it is so cool how you can just grab photographs. Here's someone else sent me a card with a picture of my book on it, near and dear to my heart. Pick something personal. Like Scott was saying, don't make it your corporate logo. Send them something that's going to mean something to them. And it's so cool.
Well,
how this works together.
No, I'm a big believer in this. And one of the things I always love reinforcing all the time is so hilarious.
That one came with brownies. So that was good.
Oh, I know. Their brownies are the bomb. But you know what? People put things out on social. I want us to key in on this for a moment because this ties in the card thing. People put things out on social, in my opinion, because they want to be seen and they want to be heard. Well, it's up to us to listen. Now, some people go, oh, it's kind of creepy, right? You're stalking people. No, you're not. It's social media. People post things out there, right? Because they want to be seen.
That's right.
Now it's up to us to listen and package that in a way and says, you know what? I heard what you were saying and I captured the moment and I repurposed it for you.
And it's being thoughtful. And here's another one just came in the mail. It came from Rich as well earlier this week.
I'm jealous. You get more cards from Falar than I do.
Yeah, Falar's got my address. So it's just
and I know he's got mine, but I don't know.
That's maybe the word of the week is random acts of gratitude. So if you want to try it out, give it a try from theheartcards.com from your computer, from an app. You can actually send your first card to me or Larry for free. So, or send it to someone else you love. It's fantastic. It's really powerful. It's a great way to say thank you. Speaking of saying thank you, we've got a guest today that I am thankful is joining us here today on the 2021 Client Appreciation Challenge. Larry, why don't you introduce our new friend, Joy McAdams, and let's invite her into the show.
Joy, I can't wait for y'all to hear Joy, but I'm going to give a special thank you to Scott McGregor. This just goes to show you how connected Scott McGregor is and how he will give you the shirt off his back, literally. This was a while back. I shared with Scott, I said, hey, we'd love to have somebody new, different, right? Bring somebody fresh to our audience that they may not have heard before. Who would you recommend? And literally 1 second later, Scott McGregor goes, Joy McAdams. You have to get to know Joy McAdams. And she's just, I love her. I love her message. Welcome, Joy. How's it going?
Let me make sure I'm mute here. But yeah, Scott's amazing. I was going to say, like, what I think his gift truly is how he connects people who need to be connected.
That's right.
And that just shows how thoughtful and how in tune he is with people's lives, which translates over to sales. That's kind of like my soft intro. But he's so in tune with people's lives and when he connects people, and that just shows, you know, I don't know. I'm so grateful for him as well. I've never met anybody who's as good as that, as, you know, at a few.
You know, either Vi and I get, you know, before we kickstart this, Daryl, there's something I was just thinking, and I wrote about it recently, and I think this is going to bring everything to the forefront. I believe, you know, connections, right? Connections and conversations build relationships. And I believe that the single best way to bridge what I call the relational gap is with gratitude. It's with thank yous. It's with appreciation. And I know, Joe, you're going to share some great stories. We're going to tie some sales things into this, but Daryl, let's just get started.
Yeah. So, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the 2021 Client Appreciation Challenge. Joy McAdams. Joy, we're looking forward to hearing what you have to share about gratitude.
I'm waiting for my drum roll. Where's the
Scott's got a virtual drum roll going in the background. I can almost imagine.
Perfect. No, it's so great to be here today. And I love that you guys are so active on LinkedIn. LinkedIn has been the game changer for me personally, physically, I mean, just everything, the people it's connected, and professionally as well. So it's so good to connect through those platforms. And to anybody out there, this is my plug to say, get involved on LinkedIn, do video, put out content, put your story out there, because you have something that everybody needs to learn from. And it doesn't have to be masses following you. Even if you change one person's life through your story, it's worth it. It's totally worth it. So I'm so glad about that. But yeah, I just a little bit about me. I started off with aspirations to be an on-air, news reporter, anchor for the news. I was fascinated with the news. Landed my first job with NBC. And then quickly moved over to the sales side of it when I realized that reporters make nothing. Literally back then, I think it was $15,000 was your starting salary, and you would have to hope to jump markets until maybe eventually. I mean, it was a long journey. And I had a mentor who was actually the meteorologist who pulled me aside and said, he kind of guided me and encouraged me to go into the sales. So working for NBC, obviously back then, and it's funny when I say NBC to my kids, they're not impressed, right? They're like, what's NBC? What's CBS? What's ABC? I would be better off saying YouTube or something. I mean, they're not impressed at all with networks. But for most of us on here, you realize the level. It was great because it put me in front of just about every industry there is, right? Because especially back then, television was the place, if you were anybody, that you would be advertising your product, your service, whatever. And so I quickly, got to get to know every industry out there and what their needs were. Then down the road, ended up translating over into learning that family work-life balance and starting my own ad agency back in the days where working from home wasn't a thing. And then got to flip to the other side of buying and setting up marketing strategies. And then that's what led me into the world of working with physicians. So that right now has become my specialty over the last 13 years, is selling and promoting and growing medical practices. And there's so much that goes into that, because that's a whole nother level of client. When you're working with a physician and that's who you're trying to establish a relationship with, that's who you're trying to gain their trust. It's a difficult place to be. You can ask any drug rep out there, and the drug reps are known for being some of the best salespeople out there. You have to be sharp. You have to be able to get in there, because physicians are so busy. It's so hard to even get in front of them, let alone build a relationship with them. And it's a very high skill set level to get into that world. So I have thoroughly enjoyed it. I respect so much the medical profession, especially seeing what we went through right in 2020. It took everything to a whole nother level. But the first thing I will start off with, one of the biggest first lessons that has helped me when it comes to client appreciation, getting in there, the sales, is, don't go in assuming anything about that person you're going to call on, anything about their day, anything about the circumstances, even leading up to them meeting you for that appointment. And I think so many times young salespeople, when they get out there, they go into these high hopes that like, what, this person's just waiting around to meet with you? No, they're not, like you have to cut, like you were saying, you have to cut through all the noise. You have to realize that you are not their first priority. You're the last thing on their mind that day. And a lot of times you are going in and being initially seen as a nuisance because they have so many other things going on, and you can't assume at all. And one of my biggest lessons there that I learned was when I went for my first sales interview ever. It was really going to be my first job out of school. I had graduated, didn't have a job yet. Was just working, running a kids camp at a country club for the summer while I was interviewing. And I got a time for an interview. And wouldn't you know it, it was like right in the middle of the day. And really my only option to even get ready to go to this interview was to get ready in the hot box of the bathroom there at the pool. And I was just like, how am I going to pull this off? I'm going to show up. It's the middle of summer. It was like a sauna in this. So I ended up showing up wearing a nice dress, getting the makeup, getting the hair done. And the interview went great. But by the end of the interview, she was very arrogant and said, everything else, I would have hired you. I loved everything I heard, your background, your education, everything. But I wore a suit to meet with you today. And the fact that you showed up not wearing a suit, I think is very disrespectful. And because of that, I would never offer you this job. And so she never even took the time to ask, even like, why did you show up in a dress and not a suit? And even this conversation is aging myself because now, I mean, obviously it's a different world. People aren't expecting suits and pantyhose when you show up for an interview. But had she even just taken the time to see all the trouble I went through to even get to that interview, would have showed, my hard work and that I had jumped through a lot of obstacles to even get there that day and look presentable. But so many times we can do that too with our clients. Like I think we can, not realize that, especially with physicians, they just had a very stressful day. They just had to tell a patient that they've cared for a very long time that they had cancer, or, there's just so much of the stress on physicians, especially, that I've learned that I can never assume that the way they receive me, or if they didn't have time for me, or if I had to wait around for an hour and a half to see them, that, that I always go in thinking there's a greater reason, there's a bigger reason, and I extend the grace. And I think that's so important when it comes to dealing with clients and when dealing with anybody that we're trying to sell, to have a relationship with, that we go in with a lot of grace. And, we realize that getting time from them is a privilege, right? And we have to respect not knowing what they've faced before they walk into that meeting with us. I just want to throw out to you guys, have you ever had an incident like that where later you found out what that person had just gone through and you're like, wow, I should have extended a lot more grace in this interaction?
Well, I think there's a lot to unpack in what you just said, but it's so interesting because I want to tie this into grace and gratitude and so forth, because how many times do we put ourselves in front of that grace and gratitude and thank you? And I have to tie this back yesterday, Daryl, to what Lee said about something meaningful. We don't know what's going on. But when we're leading with gratitude and thank yous, we have to almost remove ourselves out of the equation just for a moment and put ourselves in that person's position. And I think it flips the script completely around gratitude, thank you, and appreciation.
And I'll tell you one thing I do when I'm trying to meet with a new physician that I've never met before to get in with them. Even if they're too busy, even if I sit around for an hour and wait to meet with them and I don't get in there, I always leave a thank you card with my business card in it. And I say, thank you for putting your patients first. And, maybe we can meet next time, but I recognize, that, and pretty much I'm leaving them with thanks for being too busy for me. Right. And I can't tell you how many times I get a response, because if you just leave a business card or your flyer or whatever you're leaving, that's probably never going to be seen. But when there's like a handwritten thank you card on their desk, they're going to open it up. They're going to see the card, and it's a whole different reception, right? They're like, wow, they realize that my time is valuable and I was too busy for them. And they're thanking me for making them sit out there for an hour and a half, so that's leading with gratitude, and that always gets such a great response when I do that.
I think that's so beautiful, because you were saying that, when you think about in sales, we do interrupt people in the middle of whatever they've got going on. We're calling on top level decision makers, physicians, and all of that. And so, we make a lot of withdrawals, if you will, from the love bank. But when we're saying when we're saying thank you, that gratitude is actually building those credits back up. So as we are working with those people in the future, we've actually built some goodwill there. And if we want goodwill, it's like Larry likes to say, you can't collect if you don't invest. What a beautiful way to invest in your clients and prospects.
And so, that was just a lesson that I'm glad I saw that and was able to carry with that, as a very young professional, that, you don't always know the story behind why the interaction was the way it was. So don't walk away discouraged, don't walk away, giving up, but, always be willing to go back and give it a second chance, or ask why, ask why. So then the next point that I wanted to go into, and I think this is why sometimes salespeople struggle with confidence, they may struggle with, being persistent, is because we've all had those interactions with salespeople that they're trying to make us buy something that we don't need, right? And so it's so important that as we're going to our clients, and number one, don't take a job working for something or a service and try to sell something that you don't believe in, right? Because that, first of all, I just think that you can't have character and be out there selling something you don't believe in. So, it's so important that if you get into, the best way you can show and get respect and show client appreciation is when you get so far in the meeting, if you realize they don't really need this, right? Like this is just going to be pushing to get a sale for me to meet my quota, but I'm doing them a disservice if they actually, go through with whatever I'm here presenting to them. When you can show the character and say, you know what, I really don't see that you need this, and you can walk away, they respect you so much, and I've even had people come back and then just refer me to somebody else because they realize they don't need it, but they knew somebody else who did. And they have so much respect for you because they realize you're not just there for the sale. You truly are there trying to help their business and trying to grow them and trying to give them something that's going to either make their life easier or, increase their revenue. And so it's so important that we know when to literally walk away and tell them they don't need something. It will pay off in the end, and don't be afraid to do that. I don't know if you guys, what are your thoughts on that?
Well, heck, well, first of all, I think it's reality because it happens it happens all the time. But here's what's interesting, that we can still tie in what Joy just said to appreciation and gratitude, right? You're actually exiting with grace and appreciation that, you know what? We had a great conversation, but I just don't think this is the right fit. It's a completely polar opposite, right? Of the thank you cards and the gifts and things like that. But think about it. How many times can we just gracefully exit out of something that actually comes back tenfold, Daryl?
Yeah. And, those situations, and we've all been in them. And I wish I could say that in my sales career, I haven't pushed when I knew, but we all have, right? And then you realize those deals, you don't win them anyways, and they're usually a nightmare because it wasn't a good fit. So, from a practical standpoint, it's kind of dumb to do that. But we feel so much pressure as sales professionals to hit quotas, to hit numbers and all of that. And so I think there's always a need to kind of check that at the door, to take that deep breath and go, it's going to be okay. Let's dial in on this person. I think gratitude is a good way. It's a good counterbalance to a lot of that pressure that we feel as salespeople is going out and taking the time to say thank you consistently throughout the day. It's a good offset to some of the stress.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Absolutely. And so then moving on, another way I think too, we can show our clients appreciation. And this is kind of how I got into what I do, which is one of the aspects of what I do is I build physician relation teams for physicians, because for them, their clients are patients, right? So in their world, that's where they get their business. And so it was so important, instead of just throwing money into advertising, that we show appreciation for all the practices that are sending us referrals, because that's where we get our business from. And so I've been able to go in and kind of open the eyes of large specialty practices and say, literally, when was the last time I'll pull the referral list, and there's a physician that sends them thousands of patients a year. And I'm like, when's the last time you gave them a lunch? When's the last time you sent them a thank you card? When's the last time you even met with them? And 9 times out of 10, they've never even met these physicians that have been sending them so many patients. And it's so sad, when I open their eyes and I'm like, and you wonder, because obviously they're calling me when their patient volume is going down, when referrals are dropping. And we really have to get back to the basics of, a lot of these things that I've discussed already, but getting out there and saying the thank you, getting in front of them, just stopping by, finding out what else they need from us. I mean, I think that's so key in client appreciation, is always be asking, what else do you need? What else can I do? Always be looking. Even though I'm offering a specific service, I'm always out and about looking for other services that I think would benefit them, and telling, sending people their way and giving that call ahead of time. I know you have a struggle in this area. I know this great person over here that can help you with that. And that nothing shows more client appreciation than when they realize you're in touch and you're in it for the long game, and you're looking out for them, not just in the area that you're there to serve them, but for all aspects of their business, right? Even you guys are talking about these cards. I'm gonna have to go try them out. It's super cute, but that's something I would love to stop by and say, hey, if you are, come Christmas time, come holidays, come thank yous, I've heard of this great company you might want to use, always giving them ideas to help grow their business, that shows that you're in it for the long game. And to continue that on, even when a client does drop, say they decide to go with somebody else, or they decide to stop using your service, do you still stop by and see them? Not just to try to get them to come back on with you, but to truly see how they're doing, to truly see how their business is going, to truly see, like I'm saying, if there's any other things you can send their way to help them, because that shows that you truly have established a relationship, and you're not just in there as long as they're serving you. It shows that you're serving them. That's when you're known as a different, like you're saying, the differentiating factor of all the other sales out there.
So many good points there, but I got to circle back to Scott McGregor, because it's the question that we asked Scott and Joy. I know you're full of all kinds of stories around appreciation and all that, but we had asked Scott, what's the best way that you've shown gratitude, or what's the best way you've said thank you? Can you just share with us just a couple ways that you've thought differently when it comes to showing gratitude in the space that you're working in, or thankfulness? What are some of the things that you've done where you've gotten somebody to say, wow, that was different, that was cool, that was heartfelt, that was meaningful? Can you share a couple of them?
Sure. And it's nothing rocket science, but, being a mom to 5, I'm always in conversation as I get to know my physicians and the clients I work with. I'm always asking about family and the kids and, everything that's going on. And so I always try to know when someone has somebody graduating, I'm sending them a graduation card for their son, for their daughter. I think when you really do keep up with that personal side of them, it sends you into an inner circle with them, because you're going in and you're asking about, you're sending the condolence card when you heard their father died or their mother, and you're in touch with them enough that they're even willing to share some of that personal aspect. Because once you get somebody to break down and talk about their family, you know what I'm saying? And I don't say that in a manipulative way. I say that that's the closest thing to their heart, right?
Yes.
And so especially if you remember their children's by name, and you're keeping up with, their kid's playing in the state championship, how's their team doing? They're never going to not respond to you if you send a text and say, did your son win the state championship? I mean, of course they're going to respond, right? Instantly, they light up, they're excited, and you're on their radar again, right? And like I said, it's not in a manipulative way. You truly have to care enough to know them past just what you see in their office, because, when you can take it to the next level. And so I think anything I've done that would be considered above the normal would have had to do with not even them. It's something to do with their family, their kids, that type of thing, because that's when you're in the inner circle, and that's when you show you really care about them. But it's always surrounding. For me, it's been surrounding things with their family.
Yeah.
Hey,
I
Daryl,
gotta give a shout out to Mike Limmer though. 'Cause this is, look at this. I mean, so here's a great example of gratitude, right? This is my latest grandchild, Desi. He is awesome. He's in the 95th percentile for size. Can be a football player. But here is, here's a personal note. It's got my, there's me and my grandbaby. I'm gonna, like, this sits on my desk. This isn't just and that is, it's an example of, let's pull family into this. Let's, Mike's part of our insiders group at Selling from the Heart. We haven't had the opportunity to meet in person yet. He hasn't been to my home yet, but Mike has found a way into my heart. And you put my grandkids up there, you're getting into my heart, right? And that we can do that. He got that off social media, right? This is, hey, congratulations on this new grandbaby. Brilliant, personal. Sorry, Larry, I just had to give a shout out.
And I think I would encourage everyone who's watching is, think about this through a different set of lenses. I remember I was listening to a podcast. This was a couple weeks ago. And I'll throw it out there as an Andy Stanley leadership podcast. And he was interviewing the CEO of a tech company. And what he had challenged his employees to do, and this was like sales centric, so it was the sales team, is how many of your clients do you have in your phone, right? How many clients' names do you have in your phone? And he would send messages out on a weekly basis. How many clients' names do you have in your cell phones? As simple as that sounds, let's peel that back a little bit more to what Joy's saying, is how many of you out there know your clients well enough that you know spouse's name, kid's name, grandkids' names, that you can openly talk about. I know for a fact, a lot of our clients at Selling from the Heart, that's the first thing I ask about. Is I go right to the things that matter the most. I know in the short time that I've got to know you, Joy, I mean, we're connected on LinkedIn and Facebook and Instagram and things like that. If you really want to know what's near and dear to Joy, all you got to do is follow Joy on Facebook and Instagram, and it's your family, right?
My crazy life. Yeah, it's crazy. It's crazy. But that's what, people can relate with, because, and even now, one of the things I'm doing is we're building concierge practices for family internal, because as we know, they are slammed. They're financially, it's hard to even make ends meet unless they're doing high volume. And that's not the type of healthcare that I believe in. And so the first thing we open up with is, how do you feel about getting home at 8, 9 o'clock every night? After you see all the patients, after you do all the paperwork, and it instantly, it's like, I'm so over this. Right? I'm so over this. I want a change. And then you're in, right? Because you hit them and you touch their hurt point right there that they want to fix. And they want that family balance. They don't want, and so anyway, that's just an example, a big example of why it is so easy to convert these practices, because they, most of them do hold that near and dear. And it's so important that we become a part of that if we truly want to have a relationship with them.
Hey, Daryl, George has got a great question.
Yeah, our international man of mystery himself, George Henderson, said, what are the worst irritants to the doctors you serve, and how can you overcome them and turn them into a positive? Good question, George. What do you think, George?
There's a lot. I'd have to say, how long do we have? Seriously, but I think the most annoying rep to them, or someone that goes in to meet with them, is the person, and we all know somebody like this. We all have somebody within our company that will take 20 sentences to say what they could have said in one, right? Because they feel like the more time they get, the longer or the more solid relationships they're building. And it just shows that you don't respect the physician's time. Just like I tell anybody, when you're emailing up to the executive level, make your email short, make it concise. If they need more information, they will reach out, and then you can expand. But no executive wants to open an email and see this like 3 paragraphs. They're not going to read it, right? It's so annoying. You got to respect that their time is valuable. Be
Yeah.
short, be to the point, be concise, be done, be out of there. The physicians love that. If they want to keep you longer, they will keep you longer. But respect their time. It's so irritating when someone goes on. You know, we all know people like that. You're like, okay, I get it.
Right.
Hey, Joy, I got a question for you. Just because Joy has leveraged video so well, is how do you see video playing out when you're showing appreciation and gratitude in the physician's world that you live in? Do you find that they respond well to those videos? I'm just curious.
Yeah, and once again, it's the same thing with video, especially on LinkedIn. If you put up more than 2 minutes on a video, your engagement is going to be low. That's why you'll see most of my videos are a minute or less. That's it. You have to learn to get in. And some of it comes from, you know, from having 5 kids, from having this crazy life. My kids know if they want to tell me something, you better tell me quick. There's no time because another person's coming in the room to tell me something else. So get it out fast. But the same thing, a video, I've used some of that in messaging. And once again, it's just a short, hi, Dr. So-and-so, I would love to, whatever. And when I've had people who are like, I would have never responded. I would have never called somebody back. But because you sent me a video, I'm getting back with you. It was really unique. It cut through all the noise. And that's what we're always trying to do, right? Is cut through all the noise that's out there.
Wow, what a great conversation. Joy, thank you. Thanks for being such an encouragement. What final words of inspiration, wisdom, and insight would you like to leave this amazing group of sales professionals?
I would just say testimonials are key too. You know, if you have a good service, you have whatever you're building, the more testimonials you can compile to share. Like once again, in the videos, short clips, that's what we start to do, is put short clips of these testimonials together, because if they can see a peer or somebody, you know, that they even respect and how it's changed their situation, they're more likely to go forward and to listen. So
Awesome.
testimonials.
Yeah. Wow.
So good.
Joy,
so many good nuggets, Joy.
Yes.
Good. Thank you. Such an honor to be here today.
Awesome. Well, we'll all be following you on social, and just thanks for being a ray of sunshine and inspiration to all of us. You're amazing.
Sure. And everybody feel free to reach out to me. And my DM box is crazy on LinkedIn, but just put the Client Appreciation Challenge and I'll make sure I scroll.
Awesome. Awesome. All right. Well, thanks,
Joy.
Joy. What a great conversation, Larry. So many actionable items here. We're like, where do we start? This was fantastic.
You know what? Here's where I want to start. And this was the biggest light bulb moment, because when we think of gratitude and appreciation and thank yous, we think of, you know, the things that obviously the first thing that come to mind. The thing that stuck out the most, and there's a lot from Joy, Daryl, was when if you're in a meeting and you know it's not the right fit, show appreciation, right? Be kind, right? Be gracious and bow out of it and watch what happens. You know, it sounds so simple, but yet sometimes it's so difficult.
Well, I think that's a great challenge for today. So when is a time that you have been in a situation where it wasn't a good fit, and either A, you backed out, or maybe B, you don't have to give the client's name, but you pushed forward and it ended up being a disaster. But I think, let's share those stories. Let's get real about that, because I think that was a great learning moment for all of us in the sales profession, is we're pressured to hit numbers, make quotas, and all of that. The reality is, one of the best ways we can say thank you to someone and respect them is by backing out when it's not a good fit.
So, I mean, it's so difficult. It's so difficult, but we challenge you, right? And I'd be curious on the videos. I'd love to hear them.
Yeah, there's going to be some good stories there, because the reality is this is something we all face. So I just want to say a huge thank you to everybody who's just dialed in on this challenge. You know, Friday is Client Appreciation Day, so let's just keep it going. Let's keep saying thank you. I want to say a huge thank you to our friends at BombBomb. Also, if you saw some of those cards today, I love what Send Out Cards is put together, and you can access that and send a card for free at fromtheheartcards.com. It is incredibly powerful. Grab a picture off social, a snapshot, and something meaningful to your client, and see how it works. I guarantee
And make sure I
good.
get one before Daryl gets one. I'm jealous.
Larry doesn't check his mail, so you can just go ahead and send it to me. Hey, I just want to say a huge thank you to everybody. We have got another amazing day tomorrow. Larry, I'm gonna have you. Oh, look at this. This is gonna be so good.
So
Angel Rebo tomorrow.
Angel Rebo, some of our Selling from the Heart Insiders group people have had the privilege just real recently to see Angel Rebo. He is amazing. He calls himself the CEO Confident. He works with C-level executives, and he's been throughout about 23, 25 countries and working at a leadership level. He's going to bring amazing ideas and insights around gratitude, around appreciation, and I owe a wealth, right? We owe a ton of thanks to Dave Sanderson. Dave Sanderson was the one who actually brought Angel Rebo to Selling from the Heart. So I will tell you this, there may be a surprise cameo tomorrow from Dave Sanderson. So for those that are watching, my gut's telling me, Daryl, Dave Sanderson will be on the Appreciation Challenge tomorrow.
Hey, Larry just called you out, Dave. So we hope to see you here tomorrow. And just once again, a huge thank you to everybody for all that you're doing, for who you are and the way you're showing gratitude. We appreciate you. Let's put this into action. Your challenge. Tell us a story in the LinkedIn group on video of how you backed away from a deal you knew you needed to, or maybe how you didn't. Let's have some real talk here and how that worked out for you. So until next time, keep saying thank you. We'll see you again tomorrow.
See you again.
Thank you for being a part of the 2021 Client Appreciation Challenge. Now it's time to take action. We challenge you to take what you learned today to show appreciation to your clients. As you do, let's cheer each other on. We look forward to seeing you again tomorrow.